So hello everyone, welcome to RKS Volume 1 YouTube channel. So the today topic is Lyrical Ballad by William Wordsworth. Okay, or we can say Preface to Lyrical Ballad by William Wordsworth. This is a very unique work of lyrical ballad, and it is consist by William Wordsworth and Samuel Coleridge. Okay, so let's begin this epic works. Okay, it is a collection of poems, by the way. Okay, the first volume of this poem has already been submitted to the journal Percival. It was published as an experiment which I hoped might be some of use to ascertain how far by fitting into metric arrangement a selection of real language of a man elicits a vivid sensation. That sort of pleasure, that quantity of pleasure may be impacted which a poet may rationally endeavor to impact. The Lyrical Ballad was a collection of poems by William Wordsworth and Samuel Coleridge, and the poems included The Thorn, The Idiot Boy, The Seamanly, The Old Curan Beggar, We Are Seven, The Notting, The Rhyme of the Ancient Marian, and Tintenavi. And among these, The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner was the first poem of the Lyrical Ballads and by S.T. Coleridge, and The Tintenavi was the last poem of the Lyrical Ballad by William Wordsworth. The lyrical ballads consist of 23 poems, including 19 poem by William Wordsworth and rest 4 poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Okay, you can take screenshot of this, you know, epic work. Okay, now move to next page. See, this is very unique work. Okay, so it was first published in 1798, and the preface. See, it was published in 1798. अगर यहाँ पे लिखा जाएगा क्वेश्चन, अगर क्वेश्चन विल बी आस्क्ड दैट व्हेन इज द lyrical ballad published, then you should write tick on mark on 1798. But if the question will be asked that when is the preface of lyrical ballad is published, then it is 1800. Okay, 1800 में preface of lyrical ballad published हुआ था. So the preface is a critical statement by William Wordsworth, who wanted to free poetry from artificial right of style of writing and bring it near to the life of common people. Here the preface is divided into 4 parts by William Wordsworth. What is poetry? What are the characters of a poet? What is the value of poetry? And what is poetry diction? Now this is very sensitive uh, topic, like when we start, what is poetry? According to William Wordsworth, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling, and it takes origin from emotion, recollecting, and tranquility. Okay, so emotion and powerful feelings are the raw materials needed to create a poem. Very simple, पूरा simple है, you can easily understood. Okay, बेस्ट नोट से कहीं पे भी नहीं मिलेगा. ओके, ए गुड पोएट इज एक्सपीरियंस द ब्यूटी ऑफ ऑर्डिनरी लाइफ एंड कैप्चर हिज पावरफुल फीलिंग्स. Then the help that the people, then the poet sits in a peaceful place and recollect those powerful feelings. With the help of his imagination, he writes a wonderful poem that can touch human heart. Wow. Poetry is the breath and final spirit of all knowledge. It is the impersonal expression of which is in the countenance of all science. Finally, poetry is the first and last of all knowledge. It is immortal as the heart of a man. Wow. This is all about what is poetry. Okay. Now, what are the qualities of a poet? Again, I will recall that according to William Wordsworth, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling, and it takes origin from emotion recollected in tranquility. Emotion, powerful feelings are the raw material needed to create a poem. A good poet experiences the beauty of ordinary life and captures his powerful feelings. Then the poet sits in a peaceful place and records those powerful feelings, and with the help of his imagination, he writes a wonderful poem that can touch human heart. Poetry is the breath and final spirit of all knowledge. It is the impersonal expression of which is in the countenance of all science. And finally, poetry is the first and last of all knowledge. It is immortal as the heart of a man. ओके, हियर पावरफुल से मुझे याद है कि KGF में डायलॉग था कि पावरफुल पीपल कम्स फ्रॉम पावरफुल प्लेसेस इन KGF chapter 1, but now in KGF chapter 2, Powerful people make places powerful. Wow. Okay. So then now, what are the characteristics of a poet? कि poet का characteristics कैसा है? Okay. A poet should be exceptionally sensitive in the sense of not only what happened to him, but also what happened around him. He feels not only is he suffering, but he feels what others are suffering. He has a more comprehensive soul than other human beings that allow him to feel and empathize deeply. He should have extraordinary strong imagination that he is affected by the thing even they are not around him. He is a man speaking to man. His poetry is not self-indulgent but has a social responsibility to teach and gives correct meaning of life and feelings. And he redefined poetry as a medium to teach and delight. Wow. Again, I repeat, a poet should be exceptionally sensitive in the sense of not only what happened to him but also what happened around him. He feels not only is he suffering but he feels what others are suffering. He has a more comprehensive soul than other human beings that allow him to feel and empathize deeply. He should have extraordinary strong imagination that he is affected by the things even they are not around him. He is a man speaking to man. His self poetry is not self indulgence but has a social responsibility to teach and gives correct meaning of light. He redefined poetry as a medium to teach and delight. This is the characteristic of a poet. Now, what is value of poetry? See, I have searched in Google and YouTube and internet, vagara vagara, and I've found this. Okay, this is not easy. Poetry does not mean merely provide pleasure, but teaches moral and philosophical values to reader. Wordsworth said that every poet has a social responsibility to strengthening and promoting human culture through his poetry. Poetry can refine and regenerate mankind. Poetry is the fruit and flower of all knowledge, human knowledge. Poetry is the image of a man and nature. Again, I repeat, poetry does not merely provide pleasure but teaches moral and philosophical values to reader. Wordsworth said that every poet has the social responsibility of strengthening and promoting human culture through his poetry. Poetry can refine and regenerate mankind. Poetry is the fruit and flower of the human knowledge. Poetry is the image of a man and nature. क्या तुम बोलो, अगर पूरा टेक्स्ट भी पढ़ोगे तो इतना अच्छे से नोट्स नहीं मिलेगा जितना मैं यहाँ पे इसको मिला था मुझे एक्चुअली मैं ये आई गॉट इट फ्रॉम यूट्यूब एंड गूगल एक्चुअली ओके. पोएटिक स्टाइल नीड टू बी ऑर्गेनिक, मैं इसको ऑर्गेनाइज हुए में सीक्वेंस वाइज में इसको सिर्फ लगा दिया. Poetic style need to be organic, it should not be prescribed. Wordsworth criticized new classical writers such as Dryden and Pope for using artificial style of writing or language. He believed their figure of speech should be organic, it should not be prescribed, or they should not be added like ornaments. Wordsworth said that he will use the language of common men in his poetry, especially rustic, as their language is most natural. Finally, he said that there cannot be any essential difference between the language of the prose and the language of the poetry. Okay. He believed that figure of speech should be organic to a poem, they should not be added like ornament. Wordsworth said that he will use the language of men, common men, in his poetry. He will use the language of common men in his poetry as the language is most natural. And finally, he said that there cannot be any essential difference between the language of the prose and the language of the poetry. Okay. बेस्ट विशेष फ्रॉम रितेश. ओके, अच्छा लगा तो लाइक कर दीजिए, कमेंट करो. ओके, दिस वाज द बेस्ट नोट्स आई हैव एवर राइट. सो मिलते हैं अगले वीडियो में. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग.